I will echo also what the DA mentioned is some of the very dangerous national rhetoric that's out there today. Our system of justice absolutely requires law enforcement to be present to protect our community. So at any point when the rhetoric ramps up to the point where calculated, cold-blooded assassination of police officers happened, this rhetoric has gotten out of control. We've heard Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Well, cops' lives matter too. So why don't we just drop the qualifier and just say lives matter and take that to the bank?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with Governor Mike Huckabee, Republican presidential candidate. Check him out at MikeHuckabee.com if you want to help the campaign and find out more about it. Governor, that was the sheriff in Texas, the town where Deputy Darren Goforth, 47 years old, was slaughtered, shot in the head, shot in the back 15 times by a black man, allegedly. They have him in custody. And the cop in charge there blaming the rhetoric, you know, the Black Lives Matter rhetoric. I could play you Louis Farrakhan at a church in Miami weeks ago, and I was the only one who played it at the time, saying we have to hunt them down and kill them, anybody who would kill black people. And nobody said boo about that. What about the Black Lives Matter and the rhetoric that's going on here?
Well, it's very divisive. And, Steve, the fact is what the sheriff's official said in Houston is right. Lives matter. It doesn't matter whether they're black or white or brown or red or yellow. Lives matter. And one of the most fundamental things about our nation is that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is the equality of each life that makes this country great. When you begin to say that one life is more important than another because of whatever egregious sins may have existed in the past, then you really have cheapened the lives of other people. And I've been criticized because I said that last week, and some columnists took me to task and said, you know, that I was being insensitive. Well, let me tell you, this insensitivity is toward police officers. When I was governor, Steve, I had to carry out the death penalty, and I carried it out more than any governor in my state's history. But for me to take a life, I'm going to tell you, I had months to decide whether to carry out that execution. I had months to go through every file folder of that inmate's file, to look at crime scene photos, to read the trial transcript, the appellate court transcript. When a police officer makes a life and death decision, he walks up to a car in the middle of the night, and he doesn't know whether that person is going to hand him a driver's license or pull out, you know, a 9mm pistol and begin shooting.
Right.
And he's going to have a split second to react to that.
Yep.
And, yeah, there are some cops that have made mistakes, but most importantly, we need to teach people to respect authority, respect law enforcement, and
absolutely.
my gosh, I was raised that if you wanted to argue with a cop, that's fine. You do it in the courtroom. You don't
absolutely. That would solve, Governor, 95% of the problems. Don't run from a cop. Don't disrespect a cop. Certainly don't hit one. And 95% of these situations would go away. I want you to hear something Hillary said on Friday. Let's listen to this.
I find it the height of irony that a party which espouses small government would want to unleash a massive law enforcement effort, including perhaps National Guard and others, to go and literally pull people out of their homes and their workplaces, round them up, put them, I don't know, in buses, boxcars, in order to take them across our...
Immediately I said Holocaust reference. I tweeted Jake Tapper over the weekend and said, why didn't you talk about that on your show? He said, we went with the terrorist Republicans one instead. I said, false choice. You were raked over the coals. The ADL, everyone else said, how dare Mike Huckabee say ovens? That's a Holocaust reference. She says boxcars, and the media is silent.
Well, it was interesting. Hillary called me out by name for that comment. She said that it was offensive, that I should apologize. And then a few weeks later, she makes a reference. I was making one in reference to the Iranian government, who had done two things: denied the Holocaust existed, and then made the statement that we have missiles of defense or delivery missiles that will take the Holocaust to the Jews. That was what the Iranians said.
Right.
So I didn't invoke something or invent it.
Right.
And I wonder when Hillary's going to get up and apologize to me publicly. she owes me one on this one, because if she's going to criticize me for using a legitimate and an appropriate reference to the Holocaust, then she certainly ought to be called out for using, frankly, an incredibly inappropriate one regarding immigration.
And the media, just another example, the double standard, correct?
Total double standard. And it was also a double standard when she was talking about Planned Parenthood and that Republicans are like terrorists. I'll tell you what terrorists do. Terrorists take people's heads off. That's what they do. Planned Parenthood takes the heads off of unborn children and sells the body parts.
Absolutely.
So if you want to talk about what is most like a terrorist, is it a Republican trying to save a human life, or is it Planned Parenthood murdering human life and selling the body parts as if they were selling parts of a car?
I want to ask you before we go, Governor, the president is changing the name of Mount McKinley, and he's in Alaska, of course, and it's sparked a lot of outrage, especially in Ohio. What's your take on this?
Well, it's amazing to me that the president would rename the nation's tallest mountain after a GMC truck. That's pretty remarkable in itself. Just kidding, of course, Steve. But the outrage is twofold. One, that the president thinks he can do whatever he wants, even renaming a national landmark. I'm wondering what's next, the renaming of the Washington Monument to the Obama Monument. But here's the second thing that riles me.
We got 10 seconds.
Where the heck is the Republican Congress that's supposed to be a check and balance? I'd like to see them stand up and tell him he can't do it.
I'm with you. Hey, it's MikeHuckabee.com. Governor, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, the Malzberg panel's next. Don't go away.